I don't work now, but I used to be in the military, and I retired as a lieutenant colonel side of the military, and yeah, so that's my background, and this empathic business. Yeah, so I've always known I was different when I was younger. As a you know, I used to. Um, you know what an empath is, right? You go through life feeling things. That's how you interrelate with feelings, right? You sense them. Like if you're sitting next to someone that is mad, right? You can kind of sense that he's mad, and you don't know why, right? It's you're feeling some sort of energy about him, and he could be perfectly still, but you still sense that he's mad now. And an empath, now just imagine timesing that by 10, where every emotion you can see. And I should just fall into it, right? Like I'd be around someone, and if he's mad, I'd get mad. If he's happy, I'd get happy. It's just like I would fall into their their drama or whatever. And then when you're a kid, the people around you just constantly, you know, up and down, and all sorts of shit going. So it used to exhaust me. So I was real withdrawn, and of course, being dyslexic, you get a lot of heat, because you always do a lot of dumb things in school. So man, I was constantly uh, you know fending off people, and I didn't even fend off people because I couldn't talk. So anyway, the teachers saw me and they thought something was the matter with me. So I get all these tests, and it was like I was dyslexic, and I was what they call it, hypersensitive, they said. And my mom, being an immigrant, she thought that I needed to go, so I went to tutor, and my dad talked to me about not being so sensitive, right? So they didn't understand what it was. No one did at that time, but later on in life, I kind of figured it out.
Uh, I say that this generation, well, perhaps our generation, but anyway, this generation being born now, uh, in seconds in most countries, sorry, very shortly in most countries, and it's already happened in say China, most European countries, United States, is the last free generation.
As clear as I'm watching you right now, a nerd on a computer.
Open source
solution. That's what I'm trying to say.
And you dreamt that one of them did it.
And gave everything away, and it cured everything from cancer to impotence to fucking everything.
So you still have hope.
Yes, I do. Down deep in some
inside.
fiber of me. Yeah.
And you dreamed that.
Yeah, I dreamt it. Yeah.
And keep them from crime, to preserve them from the pit, their lives from perishing lights.
He said, if I'm right, this is going to be a huge.
He says this town hall is going to save the world.
I mean, not only
He said it.
as far as
Town hall's going to say it's
you
going
know,
to save the world because
lucrative, but
he's going to use this thing.
the impact on our planet is going to it's going to be the home run that people are wondering how we're going to get through it, how we're going to survive with all our depleted resources, right? This is it. This is it. And when you see how it's done, and when you see how the town halls are shaped, and where it gets its data, and what it's going to be doing with it, you'll see that this is the answer. And we'll have it. We'll have it. And think about how you would do it, right? Like, oh shit, that's easy. How would I use this thing, right? So, it's important, and I would be surprised if you declined this, right? I mean, I would have to say to you that you don't understand what I'm giving you, right? You don't understand what this is if you say, nah, we're going to pass, or we don't have the, our program's over or whatever. You don't understand what this is that you have. So it's the game changer. And
What you you teach, he open sourced, and the world all of a sudden
All
changed.
changed.
It was
And
better.
then love worked.
Because he did it out of love.
Different backgrounds. One time he had like a rocket ship going someplace. Another time he was in a scientific lab, probably MIT. And another time, I forget where he was the third time. And the,
Nothing so.
yeah.
If at the end of all of this, you mentor someone, solve and save the world.
That would be better than the biggest deal in recorded history. Yep, I would.
Okay, so this is the problem, that we don't speak in truth, right? We don't give our opinions that are contrary to what the group says, right? Right? Well, I agree with you, man. Free speech, I agree, right? You'll say that, but you won't dare say it about something that is contrary to what the group says, right? And I guarantee you, a majority of you are doing this, right? So just think of that. You're not telling the truth. You're not telling your truth. You're not using your intuition to, to bring that out for debate. You're just capitulating on other people's standard, right? Of course, man, free speech and freedom of use and all this shit. But it's not your truth, right? You're regurgitating it, and I'm not picking on anyone, right? Just in general, that's how people are. They'll say stuff that is that's the norm, the safe. You'll rarely find a guy that will say something that is contrary to to what the group says, right? And you know what they say, when the group goes one way, you bet the other way, right? That's one point. And the other one is that we do not have the capacity to make good decisions the way it is now, right? Because everyone is posturing, they're not communicating. So lies are told, white lies. Yeah, the stock's going to go up, man. Don't sell it. Don't sell it. And that kind of game. We will never get out of this, right? We're going to actually fall into dystopia because of it, because we are making decisions based on nonsense, right? And we will continue doing that. And like I said, it's going to get worse because now they're getting, artificial intelligence involved in it, where they're, finding our patterns of thought and desires, and they're putting products in front of us, and we're not going to have a free thought pretty soon. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse, to the point where we're going to be, the world's going to get so complicated that we're going to be making a decision that might collapse it, right? Because we don't know what the truth is, right? And let's say, well, we don't know the truth. Well, let's hire a consultant, right? And the consultants would probably put a get well plan that's bullshit. And then when we go to use it, it doesn't work. That's how bad it's getting, right? We're drowning in deception. We have to have a system where we can get rid of that, and we can get the truth back into our world, right? Jesus came out of they made a religion out of it, right? Jesus is a symbol for the truth. It's like he came into the world and said, hey guys, stop lying. You get into the truth, follow the truth. That's how you get out of this.
It's interesting where there's something right here that matches with Elon Musk, where there's a unity of some Christians or some people who proclaim to be Christians who think that this unity is an okay thing with Elon.
But then it already hits us, and you guys don't want to see it, right? San Francisco is horrible, and you guys are going to move out of there sooner or later. And the truth is everywhere, right? It's everywhere. It's not Jesus isn't a person, it's the truth. And they had to make a religion out of it to remind us, that, guys, follow the truth. And we don't, right? We're not following the truth. We're following, well, what is everyone else thinking, right? Everyone else is thinking nonsense, right? Yes, freedom of speech, man, for sure, right? For sure. But we're going to lose freedom of speech now. We don't tell our truths because we are afraid of what people think of us, even on Twitter. And if you're working or you're in a group, you're hopelessly caught up in it, right? Hopelessly caught up in not telling the truth. And there's very few people that can do it. I don't care. I mean, I do care what people think of me, but not at the stake of speaking, being myself.
But smaller ones were used in ancient times to store universal knowledge and information, and download it directly into the mind. Thus, information could not be distorted nor twisted, nor used in detrimental ways. Deep down, the soul knows that it is here for a reason, a mission, and purpose. When one wishes to deny this purpose, wake-up calls will come along the way. When one wishes to deny this purpose, wake-up calls will come along the way.
You guys would look at it and say,
the incoming beams of solar ionic gamma photon light particles being directed to us have the ability to cut through to the nucleus of the human atom, to shift its chemical bonds and change the very makeup of our atomic structure. This rearrangement of our atomic structure is morphing our cells into a more complex crystalline structure that can literally allow all the data in the universe to begin flowing through the human body computer.
Record that maybe love worked in the end.
At the end.
Because he open sourced it and gave it to
He open
everybody.
source. And that is the true act of love.
And you
When you give the cure for everything. Everything, okay?
Yeah.
We're not fighting with the Koreans. Putin, we're swapping bodily fluids with Putin. The Vatican turned honest. I mean, everything, One time he had like a rocket ship going someplace. One time he had like a rocket ship going someplace. Another time he was in a scientific lab, probably MIT. And another time, I forget where he was the third time. And but that's going to be, I'm going to be gone. I'm going to soon. Yeah.
You mentored someone who solved and saved the world.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be better than the biggest deal in recorded history. Believe them. You don't fucking want to believe them because that means more pressure is on you. That's what it really means.
And how we're going to get through it, how we're going to solve the climate change, how we're going to survive with all our depleted resources, right? This is it. And when you see how it's done, and when you see how the town halls are shaped, and where it gets its data, and what it's going to be doing with it, you'll see that this is the answer, and we'll have it. And think about how you would do it, right? Like, oh shit, that's easy. How would I use this thing, right? Because I'm just coming up with it, looking at the Bible and looking at the Bible, going back. You have a bit, you have a bigger view, and you'd say, oh my God, we could use this, we could use it for that. So it's important, and I would be surprised if you declined this, right? I mean, I would have to say to you that you don't understand what I'm giving you, right? You don't understand what this is if you say, nah, we're going to pass, or we don't have the, our program's over or whatever. You don't understand what this is, to look. But they can't talk to me yet now because and I hope to hear from you guys. And really, I look forward to working with you.
your perspective, because you don't see what God is going to do with what you have. I just got to find it. I got to get my eyes on it. I got to change how I look at it. I got something. I got everything I need to turn.
That a friend of mine, I said, "Why don't you translate?" And he said, "I like what you say about it." He said, "Colonel Thunderstorm." And he was the main guy, right? And he did this. He started talking about the town hall, and he says, this town hall.
It's no secret that the both of us are running out of time.
This is a regret that you made. Just open it. This is a regret that you made. And there's something you can take.
I'm sorry to you, but it's too late.
Mistakes like this, you don't make. You make some. And okay. Not okay sometimes.
Who is the Nobody? The Nobody is a figure alive today who has extraordinary spiritual powers, including the ability to control reality with their conscious and unconscious mind. He is a man of no wealth or worldly acclaim, through whom it seems God has chosen to manifest his strength and wisdom. He is said to carry the Logos, making him a fearless truth-teller and a menace to the powers that be. Instead of receiving strength through a superiority/inferiority mechanism, the Nobody proves to them time and time again that a whole planet filled with creative, ingenious, spiritually ascended humans who are individually sovereign yet globally unified through consciousness can achieve greater things than a planetary empire of darkness and control. He is not a messiah, he is just like you, but he has found the keys to the kingdom within himself through sheer will, just like you will.
But all of my life, I've been living in this swamp of lies. Systems that are seemingly dead-ended, not reaching for anything positive in the future, just sitting there in some kind of dystopian morass and malaise. The reason that is the case is because we're all living a lie. The reason we're living a lie. And if we were to go back and look through all of this bullshit video crap I've put out, it was within an interview that I said this. And I stated that we may find ourselves in a situation where some colonel somewhere would be the one who would be the release valve for the disclosure, for factual officialdom and disclosure. And you could see that in a couple of, I jokingly at the time said, oh, well, maybe some colonel will take over from the military junta and he'll be the one in an act of desperation. Because I knew that we had desperations will erode government to the point where the United States government will be in worse shape than Argentina or anything ever on the planet. Will be in worse shape than Somalia by midsummer. And desperation will be the only thing the populace will know. Now, I lived through that desperation years ago because I lived through this shit 2 years ahead, and so I'm through it. I'm into the optimism phase. So you can believe me. We get through this, and there's shit on the other side that's really cool. Anyway, so some colonel somewhere in the Pentagon might just say, might even be asked by the pretendency. You know, it may come rolling down and someone says, fuck it, let's do it. Stamps it, and off it goes. Or it could be there's a colonel that takes over from the military and runs thing, and he's the, titular head of the triumvirate, and he says, okay, boys, we're going to do it. You know, it can't get any worse, and it can only get better. In any event, though, the data sets for years have been saying, and I'm saying for years, you can go back, I don't know how many years we've been discussing this, and they're saying that we would have this release of information, and the speed of the change would just be shocking to all of us. But the eruption into the soaring 20s, now I chose that word deliberately, the eruption into the soaring 20s would just be fantastically fast compared to the morass of slogging through this swamp for these last 60 damn years.
Said out of love prior to do this, and he saves the world. Dan's like, I've seen this in my dreams. This pollution on the planet, everything. And he uploads this solution to open source on the internet and gives it away. And Dan said out of love prior to
upset me because I couldn't find it. I even went and got a finder because it was so important. This thing was so awesome, man. I mean, awesome in a way that it revealed a lot of things that I didn't want anybody to question. I put that on his face, but this is you. You could tell, right? Right? That's you all the way, right? It'd be impossible for me to wrinkle a face like that. And then you go slow motion, right? And there, I'm assuming there's a person. I don't know who that is. Do you see that head, like a horse head? And this dragon is riding him, right? Do you see the dragon? And that's a perfect dragon. You can't make that dragon by just slopping it up, right? It had to be something else that put it there. And then you got this guy here. So he's, he looks like he's in despair, but when you look at it, he's actually on top of you. You see, he's riding this big horse, and he has his legs crossed over it, and there's another woman that's in front of him. So, he's one of these things. If it was prophetic, you'd say, okay, there's going to be someone that's going to be in despair, but he's actually going to be helping, disable you, right? And, if anybody, you'd be the big old horse, you'd be that, you wouldn't be a rabbit, you'd be a horse. So it looks like, you look like a horse. And then, you just look back, and what does the black figures look like? It looks like evil. Oh, here's a naked girl here. So, that's why you might say, well, no big deal, man, warriors, right? And I should say shit like, Rebel, you don't expect God to be putting you in those positions. You're going to watch it on television, right? And shit like that. Come to find out, they've been fighting all along, right? They are super, they're warriors, Ripple is, and no one knows it, and they probably won't know it for a while, but they are in the good fight, and all this time, it was me sitting on my ass, not doing anything, right? Watching it on television while they were fighting the good fight. So.
My words come from an upright heart. My lips sincerely speak what I know. They draw near to the pit, and they're like to the messengers of death. Yet if there is an angel at their side, a messenger, one out of 1,000, sent to tell them how to be upright, then he is gracious to that person and says to God, spare them from going down to the pit. I have found a ransom for them. Let their flesh be renewed like a child's. Let them be restored as in the days of their youth. Then that person can pray to God and find favor with him. They will see God's face and shout for joy. He will restore them to full well-being. And they will go to others and say, I have sinned, I have perverted what is right. But I did not get what I deserved. God has delivered me from going down to the pit, and I shall live to enjoy the light of life.
Impart his burden. See, some prophets, I won't say each of us, but some groups of prophets carry different burdens. There are certain burdens that come strictly from God's heart about traditions. This is my burden. I carry it for our Lord. Let me say this. This is going to help you, my friend. When you are released to work for God, you are not doing this because you don't have anything else to do. The messenger has laid down his or her life, and we are treading for the souls of men.